Welcome to Estero Today, produced by Engage Estero. I'm your host, Mike Wasson. Joining me today is the president of Engage Estero, Allan Bowditch. It's a chance for listeners to get a big picture update on Engage Estero and the challenges we face in the future. Welcome, Allan. Glad you could join us.
Well, thank you, Mike, and hello, everyone who's listening to the podcast today.
Allan, Engage Estero has significantly contributed to improving our community's quality of life for over 2 decades. Where do you see Engage Estero's role today?
Well, Mike, and I think most people would agree that the pace of change in Greater Estero is accelerating. And indeed, residents are relying more and more on us to provide them with important updates and information that relates to traffic and many other issues that people are concerned about. But, in order to do this effectively, obviously we need to secure funds. And I guess we need to talk a little bit more about that in a few moments.
How is Engage Estero funded today, Allan?
Well, we're pleased that there are many HOAs and gated communities that do provide what's called a membership. The amount isn't very high, but that generates about just over $11,000 for us per annum. However, we were working out, of course, with our accounting processes that we need considerably more than that to provide all of the information and the things that we need to communicate this information to everyone. In fact, our budget is really around, just to break even, believe it or not, $75,000 a year. So you can see there's quite a shortfall. Now, we have about 26 people working in Engage Estero. And that may surprise a lot of people, but only one of those, which is our webmaster and community coordinator who runs her own business, is paid. Although I think we'd all like to have some contributions about what we do, nevertheless, of course, we don't do that. So there is no money coming to the vast majority of people here. And of course, we have other people who are helping to clear the roads and provide junior achievement information to schools. And they're not even included, of course, in that number that I just mentioned. So, that's the circumstances. And all of this money is really needed for many, many aspects of the communications that we produce. We, of course, have a videographer that provides YouTube videos of the meetings that we undertake. We need research carried out on some of the issues to make sure that what we're informing people is accurate when those of us are maybe unsure of some of that information, and many, many other things beside. So that actually is even before we may start to use our money for these lovely other purposes, such as helping school children, helping our schools with contributions for students' education in the way of scholarships and so forth. We'd love to do more and more in that respect, but obviously we can't until we get more contributions, Mike.
We do have a very active program also in community meetings and public forums. And those all take money to put on and rent buildings and so forth.
Well, no, that's correct. I mean, these are very expensive. Just to hire the halls and make arrangements for everything, is very, very expensive. It all adds up, unfortunately, at the end of the year. But anyway, we'd certainly, as I say, like to do more. And one of the things that we also want to consider is to provide funds for emergency use. We all know what happened, of course, after some of the recent hurricanes. And although we would have wanted to have stepped in and provided support for people in desperate need during those times, while we did embark on a fundraising mission, which was very successful, of course, it took time before we were able to provide that money with no deductions whatsoever from the agreements and the generosity of people. It took a time for that to get to the right places and for people to use it properly.
You know, Engage Estero is also an IRS registered 501c3 organization. And so all donations are tax deductible. Is that correct, Alan?
Yes, no, that's right. We've been through all the proper channels to make sure that everything is documented and, of course, is registered with the IRS, as you rightly suggest. So, all of the contributions that we do get can therefore be tax deductible when people actually undertake their normal IRS filing each year.
Recently, Engage Estero has had some projects that have required some consultation with professionals and some kinds of collaborating with research and so forth. And one of those projects, of course, is a very thing that we've worked on recently. That's the widening of Interstate 75. Could you maybe explain some of our efforts on that project, Ellen?
Yes, well, that has been, of course, something that we identified very early on. Engage Estero was the first to identify that the expansion, particularly through Estero, was not going to be a move from 6 lanes to 8 lanes, but a move from 8 lanes to 10 lanes. And of course, with that comes very much increased noise. Now, we have posted a great deal of information about all of this on our website. It would be too extensive for me to go through today. But what I can say is through the efforts that I and, of course, the rest of the team has made, which is, of course, so very important to all our work, this is a very much team effort that we have. We were able to be interviewed by Wink News and explain some of the concerns that people had on news bulletins back in June. We also reached out to people who wished to have their names and addresses sent to Florida Department of Transportation expressing their concerns. We had 164 names and addresses of people who entered into that situation so that FDOT didn't receive them one-on-one, but as a group situation. We also were in touch with the Brooks community presidents, and they wanted us to supply and present a letter on their behalf to FDOT explaining their concerns that they wanted, and understandably, a continuous 22-foot wall right the way throughout the Brooks. In the earlier information that was provided by FDOT, there were gaps in that. But we, through the research, the very point that you were making, Mike, went and examined what sort of wall that should be. And we have identified through the research of experts that has been done that there are two particular types that we would recommend, and those were mentioned in the letter that we sent to FDOT. And to be fair, Florida Department of Transport have themselves been exploring the reduction in noise from a new type of asphalt on the road that they have actually put in a section through Estero, and that actually has made a very considerable difference. So all of these things take time and effort, but that has been a very important part of our work in recent months, yes.
Alan, everywhere you look around the greater Estero area, you see so much development, so many buildings, so many construction sites. And I know Engage Estero they've been busy with projects to keep residents up to date and informed on all these. Can you maybe talk about some of the things we've done to keep people informed of all the developments?
Well, yes, Mike. In fact, every 6 months for the past few years, we have produced an updated document which is called the Urbanization of Estero. This latest one that you referred to was published and put on our website in September. It actually was a 61-page document, which again took an awful lot of time to research and get right. But residents, in fact, can find that information on our website. It is very easy to find on the first page. And in addition to that, we actually had a large number. There were 50 people that attended the September 26th meeting that we held, where, although it was unfortunate that Mary Gibbs was unable to attend, I made the presentation on several key urbanized developments that are taking place right now in Estero. The YouTube video of that meeting is also on our website and can be looked at together with a summary of what transpired at that meeting. So again, I would urge people to maybe take a look at www.esterotoday.com to familiarize themselves with all of that very, very important information. And in fact, I must say that it's been very reassuring. We don't get paid for all of the work that we do, but when people write to us and congratulate us on some of the information that we've been providing and how helpful they found it, that gives us a very good feeling and is very reassuring, and gives us a reason to get up in the morning.
Allan, besides development and, of course, initiatives with traffic and safety, Engage Estero has been very active in educational and healthcare initiatives. Maybe briefly, you could just talk about a very few, summarize some of those educational and healthcare efforts that we've made.
Sure. Well, just on the healthcare side, again, there are so many different articles that have been mentioned and communicated this year. Again, it would take too much time to explain them all. But we had some very, very important feedback from one sequence of articles that was obviously about a very tragic area, and that is people who suffer from dementia or Alzheimer's disease. And there are three special documents about that. One was, in fact, whether to check whether forgetfulness is just really a small part of the problem and not anything to do with dementia. So that was an interesting article. And then also another one, which we had a lot of praise for, from people who are caring for those with that very distressing situation. So, but there were many, many other issues that we talked about in that area. And if you go to the website again and just click on health, you will be able to find many of those particular things that I was referring to. Now, on the educational side, we were very interested that one of the teachers, in fact, from the Three Oaks Elementary School, got in touch to see whether we would be interested or whether we would be able to provide them with a grant. This was a grant from one of the teachers called Molly there, Molly Roberts, who wanted the money to set up a kind of laboratory. It's not a laboratory in the true sense of the word, but she wanted to buy items to familiarize the children with things related to science, technology, maths, and so forth. Now, she wanted $2,500 from a number of sources, but I'm pleased to say we all agreed on the executive management team to provide that money ourselves. And together with Elena, one of our new recruits who's doing such a great job on the social media side, we went along to the school to present the check and saw the children there. And I think I've said this before, but it was such a touching and very emotional thing to do because the children were so excited. Of course, the vice principal who was there was excited, and so was the teacher, that we were able to support that. And it really did touch the heartstrings. And I said to everybody after we came from there that we would dearly, dearly love to do so many more things like that because it meant so much to all of the people there. And we've done other things, of course, as I said earlier, in providing scholarships and also support for other organizations that help out in this educational area too. So I think probably that's maybe enough said, but it was a very nice thing to be able to do.
Allan, finally, this kind of fits in with our mandate to educate and inform people, but we have an important public forum coming up in March 17th, I believe, at FGCU Cohen Cohen Ballroom, excuse me, at FGCU. The details will be sent out before the March 17th meeting, but maybe you could just take a minute to explain what that meeting will be about and who the public, who we plan to have on the panel for the public forum.
Sure, thank you, Mike. Well, yes, we do, as you know, from time to time, set up these very, very much larger and important meetings. Of course, they, as you say, are public forums. So we need a large area, not a large location to do that. And nothing is better than FGCU for doing it. Now, the issue which I think concerns a lot of people here is this question, which I get asked quite a lot when I talk to people, where is Estero going? What's its goal? What does it aim to do? And, do we want to live here, in the years ahead? Obviously, people are a little resistant to change, I know, but it is interesting and important to know what the village and other people who work here and plan for the future have in mind. And that's really the focus of this meeting. Now, obviously, we have, I'm pleased to say, Steve Sarkozy, who's the village manager, who's agreed to come there and to obviously answer questions and provide his perspective of Estero for the future. But we also have several other important people. We have Dr. Timur, who is the head of FGCU. And of course, FGCU is vital, I think, to the synergy that we have between our local university and what we have here, in Greater Estero. There's an awful lot of things that FGCU does to help us. And there are things that I think we might do even more of to help FGCU. So that's going to be an important part of the discussion. We also have Chris Semino, who is one of the top directors at Lee Health, and he will be talking about his perspective of what we can expect in Greater Estero and perhaps even further away down on East Corkscrew as the plans develop for Lee Health. And last but by no means least, many people may know that if they look at Naples, just down the road from us, the Hoffman group of companies has been very influential in developing and helping the growth in Naples. They are now looking very closely at Estero, which is very nice to know. And they too have some very important things and plans that I think they will wish to discuss with us. And one or other of their key people on the director's level will be attending from the Hoffman Group, in addition to the other people that I've mentioned. So it's going to be a very, very important and very, I'm sure, very well attended meeting, both for the people who are coming to be on the panel and, of course, for the subject itself.
Well, Allan, these meetings, though, these putting on these forums and community meetings don't come cheap. They require funding. And that's why it's important that we would hope that some of our listeners can give us some philanthropic support. I got that word out there.
No, that's right, Mike. It's sometimes difficult, I know, to ask this question. There are many people who have, of course, their own thoughts and their own particular companies that they would like to support. And we recognize that. But, we've actually been working for the good of Estero, as you said right at the beginning, for a long, long time. I don't know if readers can see this book that I have in my hand. It's actually called Forging a Better Future. And this was a book that actually recognizes over 20 years of work that the ECCL, our former named company, actually put in over the last 20 plus years. And it identifies the many people who give their time to do exactly that. And nothing really much has changed. We are still, I think, doing as much as we can. 75% of our population here in Greater Estero tell us that we are a vital need for the community. They want to receive our information. We have now nearly 15,000 email addresses from people who want to receive our information. That's a remarkable increase and I think a testament for people to feel that they really do want what we provide. And hopefully, with their feelings that they would like to contribute to help us do this, it's all the money is going to do just exactly what we've talked about today, then we will hopefully be here for another 25 years.
Yes, I hope so. Thanks, Allan. That's a wonderful update, and we certainly appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. And to our listeners, we ask you to get involved and support us in this valuable work in our community. We are asking you to please donate to our efforts so that we continue this valuable work of keeping you, the listener, informed of what's going on in Estero. And you can do this simply by going online to our website at www.esterotoday.com and check the box. There's a donation box there that you can easily donate, or you can just make a check out to us and mail it. Make the check out to Engage Estero. Our address is Engage Estero, P.O. Box 2, I'm sorry, P.O. Box 424, Estero, Florida 33929. It's as simple as making that check out and putting it in the mail, Post Office Box 424, Estero, Florida, zip code 33929. Well, it is important that we have your support, and we're always looking for volunteers, but we do need the funding to continue this valuable work. And we hope that you have found this information that Allan has shared, and we thank you very much, Allan, for sharing that. And we hope that you found this information valuable. So if you do like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the bell icon below. And we encourage you to share this podcast with your friends. Comment below or email us with your ideas for future podcasts, or let us know by email things that you'd like us to cover. Our email address is info@esterotoday.com. Produced by Engage Estero, this is your host, Mike Wasson, wishing you a good week. I want to thank you for joining us and thank you for your attention, and hoping that you can join us next week for more news on Estero Today.